Hey, everybody. Welcome to Beyond the Lines, the podcast by Lines of Liberty. We're dedicated to supporting veterans and first responders, offering fishing trips, outdoor adventures as an outlet for mental health, PTSD, or just a moment to recharge. My name is Mike Stevens. I'm excited to have you guys join us today. We got a special guest, one of friends of the program, I guess we call it, right, Captain Gino? The
Yeah,
man, the
man.
myth, the
Been here
legend,
a while.
Captain Danny Trevino. We're gonna
How you
pick his
guys doing?
brain, get all his numbers. Sorry, I don't know what I was thinking about there. But before we get going, a little bit of housekeeping. We need your support, folks. The best way to do it is to trick those algorithms out. Go like, go subscribe, watch the whole video, leave a comment, tell us what kind of stuff you want to see, and then check out all the other social media that we're on and go join us over there. All right, that's all
Good,
the
good,
business out of
man.
the way.
Well
Today we
done,
got
man.
Captain Gino. We got brother Scott Bacon and the man, the myth, the legend, Danny Trevino. Take it away, boys.
That's
Hey, hey,
right. The
hey.
man, the myth, the legend. I've known Danny for a little while now, huh,
It's
Danny?
been a while. Yeah, it's been a while.
In a while, but he's always been there to support us in our veterans efforts and we'll get into that and a lot of kids events and wheelchair events and he is a very well known captain in the Tampa Bay area here, and let's just get into it, man. Like we do know that you were a Navy veteran, right? Tell
Yes,
us
that's
about
right.
the young Danny Trevino.
Oh,
How do you get to join the Navy? Like
oh, man, I'll tell you that the
was it
story's.
Tom Cruise's fault? Let me.
No, I think it was probably Navy SEALs or something like that was out about the time when I was joining. And that, yeah,
Yeah.
I'll get into that later too. So I grew up. I was a military brat. My dad was in the Army. He did 26 years. We lived all over the U.S. All over the Southeast U.S. mostly. Um, so I grew up. Military was my life. That's all I ever knew. I didn't know anything else. In fact, when I started thinking about going to college, I was like, what do I want to do? I don't know anything other than the military. I did a year. I went to USF for a year. I enrolled. I gave them my money. I didn't really go like I should have. But after towards the end of the year, I said, you know what? I'm going to give the military a shot. And I was talking to my dad. My dad was in the Army. He was Special Forces. He was Green Beret. He did everything. He was like Rambo. Little Mexican Rambo. He was little guy. He was awesome, man. But it was hard to live in his shadow and try and fill those kind of boots. And I was like, man, I'll never match my dad and those kind of things. And I was talking to him about us. He says, hey, what do you want to do with your life? What do you think? You want to go gung ho? You want to do things overseas, do crazy stuff, do a lot of crazy, jump out of planes. You want to do all this kind of crazy stuff, or do you want to go in, maybe learn skill, learn some things, maybe get out and get a job in the in the private sector or something? And well, I didn't want to. In hindsight, I probably would have joined the Army, but I didn't want to compete with my dad. So I joined the Navy. I ended up joining the Navy. I became a crypto tech in the Navy. Learned a lot of electronics, and I started learning about software a little bit then. But anyways, at this point now, I'm an IT nerd. That's what I do now. I do cybersecurity. I do Linux administration. I do all kinds of nerd stuff,
Hey,
right?
we
But
got something in
I
common.
do. Yeah, I miss a lot of the stuff my dad did. A lot of the cool stuff. I seen him come out of C-130s a lot. We picked him up from several deployments several times. I can't count how many times we picked him up at the airport, actually on the flight line. And he's coming down. He's got his bags. He's got everything. Boots all dirty, all beat up. And I was like, you just never asked where he was because he couldn't tell you, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it was
Wow.
you were just glad he was home, right? So.
Well, I mean, hindsight being 2020, you probably picked a like I did combat arms for 3 years
Yeah.
and I did it to try to get college money and stuff like that. But
Mm,
when I got out, the first go round trying to find a job, about the only thing I qualified for was a security guard. So, I was I went communications. I think you
yeah.
did the right thing by
Yeah.
when you're thinking about a life after military life, you
Yeah.
got to go learn something, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Crypto.
I
And my very last unit in the Army was a joint unit, JCSE there, and
mhm.
we had Navy, Air Force, Marine guys, and
Mhm.
those Navy guys, man, they got, just talking to them, they got all the best schools in the Navy, the high reliability soldering, and it just seemed like their school was so much more intensive than what we went through in the Army. So
Yeah, I don't regret at all going to the Navy. I loved it. I loved being in the Navy. There was a couple things, that you make a decision in life when you get to that enlistment. So do you re-enlist or not enlist? And I was like, I'd been overseas a couple times. I was in Guam, I was in Panama, and then I've been Pensacola for a lot of training. And I was thinking, I think they're going to send me Diego Garcia, and I didn't want to do that. So I was like, I'll take my chances and get out. And then so I did, and I've been basically a defense contractor pretty much since I got out. I think there was about a year where I worked for a local company here in town doing computer work.
yeah,
But then I finally got back with the defense industry here, and it's taken me all over the world again. I've been to with family. We went to Okinawa, we went to Australia, we lived in St. Louis for several years, and then in between there, we went back and forth to Tampa. Tampa was always our home base. We always came back to Tampa, and now we're home. I don't really see us leaving again. This is home.
no, you're a staple at this year. You're a
Yeah.
staple now, buddy. Like you came back to Tampa because your dad was stationed here, right? That's where you ended up.
Yeah, you see him right there. You see him in the corner. Right.
Yeah,
there he is.
He's looking at me right there. I don't know, that's probably. I'll show you better. Yeah, that's his stuff there. So.
there you
Oh
go.
man, yeah,
That's,
very nice.
that's my
very
man.
nice.
But, I'll put him over there. He'll distract me, and then he'll start yelling at me in my sleep or something. So yeah.
Well,
It was
when were you in Okinawa, brother? How long ago was
good.
Okinawa?
1992 to 94. That was the first place my wife had ever been outside of Florida. Basically, I don't think she went anywhere, and I drug her all the way around the world, completely other side, and that was like the hardest thing for her. And so, what do we have? We had like 5 typhoons, we had an earthquake, and then we had power outages and all kinds of good stuff. And so
That was in '92. They had two super typhoons in
oh
'92.
yeah, Omar.
I was there. I was over
Oh
there in
wow.
Hanson.
Yeah, you weren't too far. Oh no, I was Okinawa. I'm sorry about that. Okinawa was 2000 when we were there, 98 to 2000. Guam was where I was in
okay.
92, 94. So yeah. I get
Probably
all
the
my
same
islands mixed up.
typhoons if you were in Guam.
Yeah, probably. It was just typhoons in Okinawa, and Guam. It was just pretty crazy times. But I don't know. It was an adventure. It was good to come home. I learned a great skill in the Navy, and being associated with the military still. I'm a defense contractor still here at the base, and I see all old services from all around the world here at the base, and it's good to keep that camaraderie. I watched some of your podcasts, and everybody talks about that camaraderie, and it's a big thing. It's a huge thing. You can go anywhere in the world. You can go to any pub, any bar, any restaurant, any event, and you run into a veteran from somewhere, and you've got something in common right off the bat. So
Right off the bat.
it's really cool. It's a good thing. Sometimes we have our own rivalries between services and stuff, but it's all in good fun. I think everybody has a lot of good fun with it. And when somebody is not a service person and says something about your service, they're like, you can't say nothing, man. You didn't serve, so you can't say nothing. So, but I don't know. It's good to still be associated with all the different groups, and I have a special place in my heart for the kids because I was a military brat, so I see the kids all the time, and the dads are deployed or they're working crazy hours or they're doing their things, and I always think about them and say, to give them a chance they want to go fishing, or help the dad. The dad needs to learn how to tie some lines to take his kids go fishing because that time is precious. They only got a couple minutes. They might have a couple hours. They might have a weekend or so, and they don't know how to fish. My dad, when we lived here, we went fishing all the time. Nothing but catfish, stingrays. We thought there was nothing in the bay. There was nothing out in the bay except catfish and stingrays. And that's all because we were using pyramid weights, and we were using steel leaders, and we were using big old hooks, and we were using squid and that sort of stuff out here. And so we weren't catching anything. But
yeah, so that's a great segue into how do you become traveling around so much? How do you become the outdoorsman that you are today? And why did you? If people know that you have Sea Patron charters, right? And I do know that you'd like to do some kind of nonprofit with the kids
Yep.
of deployed service members. So how do you get started? So it was your dad that took you fishing and got into the outdoor stuff?
We were so unsuccessful at fishing. We were terrible. It was the worst. It was great being out in the water with him. It was great being on the boat with him.
Yeah.
But we were so unsuccessful. It was terrible. I was like, Dad, there's nothing in this water except bonnet sharks, catfish, stingrays, and all that stuff. The occasional trout would catch one. But I think it was when I lived in St. Louis, I started bass fishing up there, and I was working so hard. I was working crazy hours. I was working, really, really, really bad for your health type crazy hours, and it was really bad for your health and for your mind too. It was just so much work. You were so dedicated to your job, and it was really high speed. It was really intense. And I started fishing. I got a little John boat, a little 14-foot John boat. I had a little 18-horse 1957 Evinrude on it, and
Yeah.
we go fishing on the Merrimack River and the Mississippi River. We started to learn how to fish, and we started catching stuff, and started catching bass, and started catching bigger catfish that you can eat, and then we'd make trips. We always made trips back to Tampa. We always came home, and oh my dog, cut it out, baby. Um, Samantha. So we would come back home. We do some trips with some friends, and they started catching different fish, and they were showing me more things, and I was learning. And I'm a troubleshooter. I fix things. I fix computers, and I took fishing much like that. It's trying to figure out. Started learning about patterns. You started learning about weather and tides, and what works. So for me, it's like a big puzzle. It was kind of at the time everybody was doing these different puzzle games on computers and stuff. Mine was learning how to fish, and I finally got to a point where I was ready to come back home to Tampa. So we got home, and I brought that little John boat back with me, and it was not so safe on the bay. So the little 14-foot, 36-inch wide, John boat was not fit for that. So I got a 17-foot Polar. It was a beast. It was fun, but it was also dangerous. That thing was pretty scary, and that's when I started to learn about boat safety and making sure and learn about maintenance. Of course, you learn about boat maintenance when you get a boat. And then I met up with some guys, Salt Strong guys. I know I
Yeah,
probably met
I
Gene
think
through
that's where we met, right?
I think I met
Is
you
that where
through
we
Salt.
met, maybe?
Yep. And I learned from those guys. Those guys were, legit nice guys. They were just trying to teach people, and so I learned from them too. And then I had a lot of friends in the area, and they started teaching me different things about how to catch fish, and I just got better at it and better at it, and just kept doing it. And then I was starting to get, not to get a big head or anything, but I was becoming more successful. Each trip I went out, I got better and better at it. And the better I got, the more I started taking different friends and family, and they started getting better at it. They started catching, and I said, "Oh, that's kind of fun." And so taking people fishing. A couple years go by, and I'm working. I still work here on the base, but on the weekends or afternoons, we'd go, fishing with friends. And I started
Yeah.
thinking, so maybe I'll do a charter. That'd be kind of fun to do. I mean, there's hundreds of them here in Tampa. There's probably too many. Everybody says, and I agree. I'm not trying to take everybody's business. I mean, if I wanted to, I think I'd be successful at it. But I like doing it more on a small scale, taking opportunities for families and kids at the base, and just little the charity tournaments, and the different groups and the veteran groups. Pretty much all of them. Anybody who asks, I try and help out wherever I can, and offer my time for them. But even if it's not fishing from the boat, sometimes I've helped different charities with cancer patients and children that don't get a chance to go fishing. And I have a couple of those coming up here soon, a couple of weeks, to support them as well. So it's
Nice.
more
I
about giving
saw.
back to the community.
Excellent. I saw a really important message here in the chat here. It says, she says, "Can you take the Hammonds? I'll make the franchise." Well, I got to tell you, that's Jacqueline Hammond, Captain Gino Hammond's lovely wife. As you know, Danny, she can
Yeah.
cook the hell out of some
He can
hogfish
cook. When you look
franchise,
at me,
right?
he can cook.
Yeah,
So-
send me other cuts too. So.
Yeah, we also have a
Um,
question to Captain, to Danny from online here. Can you describe one of the biggest fish you've ever caught so far?
Oh, I think Goliath grouper, probably the easiest one. Sharks are everywhere. I don't intend to catch a shark, but maybe we've caught them. Amberjack, they're always fun to fight
Yeah.
once, not more than
Yeah,
twice.
once.
But I think I hooked into accidentally, I'll say, a dolphin, and that was a hell of a fight until he broke the line off, which I'm glad for. But
Have you ever hooked into one of these Goliath groupers that are 300-400 pounds yet?
they schooled me. There was like a Volkswagen at the other end. He just pulled my line, just went zzz. I had a hogfish that was stuck in one's mouth. He inhaled one, and I held it. I held on to that hogfish because I wanted it bad. I knew I had a hogfish. I could tell, and I held on. It must have been 3, 4, maybe in 5 minutes, just sitting there holding it. And then he finally just let it out, and I reeled it up, and that hogfish looked terrible. It looked like he'd been halfway digested. And he smelled. He was stinky. But we ate that guy. We ate him.
Very nice.
So a
very
Goliath
nice.
grouper, Google that one if you've never seen one, Jess. That's a
Yeah.
they
More
eat
questions.
small sharks sometimes.
More questions coming in. So
right.
somebody from
All
online is asking, what's the history of the polar boat?
I guess who asked that one?
Who was asking? I wonder. My son, because I bought it from him.
I'm not telling you.
It's like a family boat because let's see, my brother-in-law owned it first. I bought it from him, and then we sold it to another cousin, and the cousin sold it to a friend, and a friend sold it to my son, and I bought it back. So, and then I finally, it was on its last leg. That thing was a 1997 or 1994 Polar,
Wow.
I think it was. And that thing had it's seen a lot of fish and seen a lot of crazy times too. And it was time
So is
for it to
that
go.
boat still around?
I don't know. Get rid of, when you get rid of a boat, you're like, oh, I miss that boat. No, I don't miss that boat.
Okay.
So we actually raided your Facebook and pulled a bunch of pictures off of there, man.
Okay.
Because we got to talk about some of these things.
Oh,
Like,
Look at that.
what is that? I mean,
That's a
look at that.
fisherman right there. That's a
Yeah.
fisherman.
That's not just a beautiful, gigantic hogfish. That's like some Hollywood level shit right there with the filters and the
Right.
sunglasses. Like, you could be a poster boy in this one, man.
Oh,
If
no.
we,
So the photo credit for that, there is Captain Chris Yates. He was out fishing with me. He's an Army veteran himself. And we were talking about fishing. There goes my dog. We were talking about fishing a couple of weeks ago, and I invited him to go out with us. And we had a great day. We had a really good day. I think almost everybody caught a hogfish, keeper hogfish that day. It was really good.
that thing
Yeah,
is massive.
Yeah, that was my neighbor there, and that's Chris Yates there on the left there. Yeah,
There you go.
he's an Army veteran there, and my wife back in the back. We've been married 34 years, and she is I would say
The boss.
the magic.
Yeah, there she is.
The magic behind my success, right? She's gonna think I'm sucking up to her or something, but it's true.
There's a good picture.
We know it's true. We've met her. We know it's true.
Yeah. She keeps me fat. I think she's trying to keep me fat so I can't run away from her. So.
Nice.
But we eat good. That was
Was that a lionfish there?
Yeah, that's I put this one up myself. But where do you caught a lionfish in the bay?
No. This was offshore. We were about 30 miles out. And
but still, I've never seen a lionfish in the Gulf before.
Yep. Well, that's not a good sign, right? So,
no.
My neighbor caught that, and when he was coming over the rail, I was like, straight to a bucket. We got a bucket just for that fish, and we put that by himself in there, and we threw a bag of ice on top of him. And then when we got back to shore, my neighbor's like, we're handing out fish, and I'm like, here's your bucket, and he's like, I don't know how to clean that thing. I was like, me neither, man. I don't want to clean this thing. But
well, they're delicious. They're just invasive, right?
Yeah, I think it's pretty easy. You just snip the spines.
You do.
And then you just fillet it like another fish. But yeah, he said he really enjoyed it. It was really good.
That's a good question on those because they're really invasive on the East Coast, and there's a bounty on them, right?
Oh yeah.
I wonder if we need to report that to FWC for here, right? Like, hey, we found one 30 miles. They probably know.
Yeah, there was a lionfish caught in the canal system where we live here once. Yeah.
Wow.
A couple of years ago, yes.
Yeah, not good.
you know, yeah. But yeah, fishing's been good. I found that, looking back, even my own Facebook history, I've been looking back. February was always good for me. I call it grocery month. That's when they'll get all the snapper and load up the freezer. Unfortunately, like a lot of you guys there, Gene, I know for sure, we had the storm come through and we lost a lot of our fish during the rebuild. During the rebuild, my freezer came unplugged, and
Oh,
I'm restocking. I had African pompano, I had cobia, I had gag grouper, I had red snapper, I had mangrove snapper, lane snapper. I had all the top shelf fish was in there. So yeah, hogfish, I lost it all.
Well, now you have an excuse to go get more, Danny.
I'm happy. I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to do it, and I'm happy to
Yeah.
share. So you guys watching here, I'm honest about it. I like catching the fish. I like sharing it. So let me know. I like giving
Well,
it away.
you
I'm
take
not
those-
selling it. But
You've given me some halibut, right? From Alaska.
No,
Was
no,
it
it
halibut
wasn't.
or tuna maybe?
Oh
Maybe
no,
it was,
I get it. It was. Did I give you the salmon?
oh, it was salmon. It was
Was it
salmon,
salmon?
yeah.
I might have brought you salmon. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was up
is
from
that a yearly
Michigan.
trip that you do with a bunch of friends? You go up there, talk about
I,
that trip and
I
how
yeah,
different it is.
I did it one time. I did it up with a good friend of mine from high school, and he kind of does. He's like a guide. He goes up there just seasonally, just for salmon, and it was a great trip. They were a massive fight. It was on a fly rod, like I don't know how long this thing was, 10 foot or something, but it was on a fly rod. So you cast out to them. You had this lure, and you're trying to get this salmon to eat, and the first one I caught, you have to, if you're not ready for it, these they're gonna smoke you. And if you're not if you're not if your hands aren't on the reel, on the arbor, I guess I don't know what they call it, that little knob will beat up all your knuckles, man. That thing just spins. I can only imagine catching a tarpon on a flyer. I can't imagine that.
right. Or if you got your
These,
finger on the line, it'll burn it right in
oh my
half
god,
too, right?
yeah, no, that little reel knob was the worst. It just smacked the heck out of you. So you just have to be ready. But yeah, that was a great trip. I went up there with another Army veteran, Jacob Benjamin. He's up in Utah now. I'm not sure what he's doing up there, but he moved away from this to go there. He's listening. Why, bro? But he's got to do work.
So I heard you say you had some African pompano. Can you tell us about that?
Oh yeah, yeah. We went. I think that time. I'm not giving no numbers. I'm just giving distances. About 50, we went about 50 miles out, and the water was beautiful. It was. I think in June. I believe it was in June.
Yeah.
We were out there for red snapper. We were out there chasing red snapper, and I dropped the line down. It was just on a shrimp. Just a shrimp dropped down. I'd never caught one before, so when he hit, I was glad I had that Saragossa 8K on there, and because when I brought him up, I saw the shine like. It must have been like 80 foot down. I could see the shine, the silver down there. I'm like, oh man, what is that? And I saw him coming up. It looked like a mirror. He was just kind of fighting sideways, kind of coming up. And then I was worried because there was a lot of sharks in the area too. And I was waiting for it to get taken. But I got it up, and that was awesome. And I was taking pictures and everything. I'm showing my wife and my friends. They're all jealous, hate me, but I got it. And I was holding it up, and I made them take pictures, which is even more humiliation for her. They're like, take my picture with my fish. But then we put it in the box, and I sent the line down again, and I said, that feels the same way. That feels the same kind of bite. And I pull it up, and I pull up another one. And I pulled two in a row within 10 minutes. It was amazing.
Oh
And,
my God, I didn't know it was 2 in a row.
two in a row within 10 minutes. Yeah, and they were totally mad at me on the boat. They were totally.
Nobody else got one, huh?
Yeah, my biggest hater and supporter is my wife, and I'm probably the same for her because we're very competitive on the fishing, and
I got one
she
of
catches.
those.
She does good. She hasn't caught one of those yet, but I hope
Yeah,
she
the
does.
only African pompano we caught that came over the rail on a boat I was on, we were in a kingfish tournament. Had to be one of the angler armories or King of the Beach, and somebody sent a white bait down on the downrigger, and a line goes off. And when I looked over, I was at the fishbowl, if you know where that is.
I'm
And
gonna find out.
yeah, it's southwest, about 60 miles from me. But I looked down, I saw that huge flash, and I grabbed the fillet knife off the table, and I was going to cut the line or just break the line off.
Oh wow!
Like, we're not fishing. We're fishing for kingfish in a paid tournament, and the guys held me back, and brought a massive pompano, African pompano over the rail.
You gonna cut it off? What are you crazy, man?
I was gonna cut it off, dude.
Yep. I've been on the boat with Gene. Gene's he's got his
Oh,
this is how we're doing. We're gonna do this, and we're gonna not do this, and we're not catching this, and this is what we're doing. I'm like,
I think you've done a couple of kingfish tournaments with me, right, Danny?
Probably 3 or 4. Yeah. It's been good times.
Get yelled at a lot, right?
Hey, this is a family show, right? I'm not going to say all the things he said to me.
Yeah.
So,
Hey, quick shout outs. Let me give some
anybody.
shout outs real quick.
Yep.
Hold on. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah,
Captain
so with,
Anthony Corsella, thanks for joining us tonight. I see Judy Stevens. How's it going? Of course, Nico. We got Tom McCoy listening in. Hey, Tom. Amy Lockhart, repeat offender now. And then we got the guys over at Real Coast Adventures, man, giving us a shout out, talking about a big old 32-inch snook, his PB Army vet, checking us out. So thank you guys,
Must all
everybody,
be
for
on
joining.
Facebook. There's not much.
Yeah, that
on
was all.
not
No,
much
it was
on
all
YouTube.
Facebook. Yeah, that was Facebook. So just want to make sure I say hi to everybody. Thank you. Make sure you share this with everybody and check out our socials. Danny's been kind enough to give us some time tonight. So,
Yeah,
Danny,
so with Sea Patron charters, you're just going to keep it the way it is now. A few charters here and there, and how serious are you about getting deployed kids or kids nonprofit going? I'd love to help out with that.
Man, it's a matter of just self-motivation, right? I know you guys are so motivated, really motivated with Lines of Liberty, which is awesome. My problem is I love fishing so much, I just don't want to stop. So it's hard to stop myself and then go dedicate, even for charters. I just want to fish. So that's probably a big part of the reason why I don't do a lot of charters is, man, the weather's great. I want to go deep. I want to go shallow. Whatever I want to do, I just want to go do it. So, but the charter, like the events, with Captain Anthony there too, I've helped a couple of different events he's done too with the vets as well, and that's what I like doing the best. I like supporting those kind of events, and I can kind of plan those. I can plan those out, a ways, and I can say, okay, that's what I'm doing those days. I'm not going offshore those days. I'm going to fish and support these events, and I like doing that. If I can get myself more self-motivated, more organized to do that, I'd like to do that for the kids. So last year I did an event on the base where there was a Bass Pro gave away a bunch of rods and reels, and I presented to the MWR in the back of the base, and that was really fun. These kids, would never have gone and gotten rod and reel from anywhere, or they wouldn't know what to get. So I had some help there. There were a lot of other veterans that were helping me to hand out matching combos and try and and see what they needed. So that was fun. So pretty much anything with the kids, if I can just help them learn how to tie knots, if I help them pick the right gear, or just anything like that. And like inshore fishing it can be tough sometimes. It's not an easy thing to do. It's real tough. I mean, and you got to take a lot of time, and I give it up to all the captains all the time. So if they ever see this, I always tell them, man, that's like, you guys have a hard job. Everybody thinks it's a luxury job. It's not. It's it's real hard work. So these guys that go and catch fish on the daily, that catch the big snook and the big reds and the big trout every day, or they go tarpon fishing, that's amazing. I'm always impressed by those guys. But whenever I take folks myself, I'm always happy when I can get that tug on the line. I can see the smiles on the faces, and the kids have gotten something. And if they want to take something home, I'll fillet it for them. If it's in season, of course. But if they need, just try and help the families and the kids. That's just what I want to do. So now I'm probably the worst businessman. My wife hates when I say this, but I'm not in it for the money, which is terrible because it takes money to run the business, and I need to make enough back to make it even out. So
you're still doing what you love, though, man. So it's not work yet, right?
Yeah, it's not work
that's
yet.
that's the fun part, man. Listen, I love that you hang with us and you support us, man. I mean, whenever we've been in a pinch to put somebody on a boat, man, you're the first guy to put up their hand. It's friggin' amazing.
Yeah. However I can help. Yep.
Where does it come from, Danny? Like, there's a point where, like, for me, fishing went from something I did as a kid to something that I got a little obsessed about when I got here, and I didn't know why I was so obsessed with it. Then
Mm.
all of a sudden, I just kind of woke up one day and realized, well, I need it, right? Like
Yeah.
we talk about all the time on this program is for me, it's saltwater therapy, right? I get
Yeah.
my peace of mind. I have my best talks with God when I'm out there, the whole
Oh, yeah.
nine, right? Family,
Yeah.
friends, all that jazz. So
Yeah.
where does the rubber meet the road there? Because that's, I hear you.
Um,
You're saying I'm going.
oh no,
Like I can
it
see it in you. Like
yeah, you get a passion, man. I could talk about fishing all day, every day. Just even if it's not just fishing, it could be about anything boating, anything about boats, anything about motors, anything about. Start talking gel coat. You start talking about parts and pieces to different boats. You start talking about reels. The whole thing. I love it. Oh, you see right behind me right here.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
that's a problem, man. That's a problem right there.
I've
No,
said it before on this podcast. There's a very fine line between love and obsession.
oh yeah, and
Hmm.
in fishing, I hear it all the time. I heard guys in your podcast before saying, oh, they love the serenity and how calm it is out there, and you know, there is that, but there's a lot of chaos in fishing too. So maybe I like that part. I like the part of
Yeah.
we're getting 2, 3, 4 footers coming across the bow, and we're riding hard, and we get up at 3:30 in the morning, and we're not sure is that marker lit up? Can you see that marker? I was like, I don't know, bro. Keep going. Let's go. So I don't know, and so I'm thrilled by more of the chaos part of it and the bite and the tug on when you get that first fish on. I'm fighting my wife right there just to be the first one to get one over the rail because she's going to get one and I want to get one, and sometimes she'll have 2 or 3 in the boat before I get one in the box, and I'm like losing my mind. So it's kind of competitive thing. And we were in a fishing league a couple years ago, and that was a great time because it was crazy wild times. But that's
Yeah.
my
Sounds
wife and
like
I
we need
started.
to get her on the podcast, right? Let's
Oh
get
man,
Right.
Samantha on
Right.
here, and
Yeah.
she
ask her how she whoops your ass. That's a,
it happens. It happens rarely, but it happens.
oh,
She's gonna come hit me here in a minute. But she so part of the fishing you were asking is it's something we can do together. So we go,
yeah.
and she loves it. I love it. Um, Whenever I say the weather's looking pretty good, she goes, "Well, when are we going?" I'm like, "All right, I can get everything ready." And she's like, "Okay, I'll go get drinks and I'll go get snacks and
Nice.
let me know what I need." And I'm loading ice, and she's helped me load ice, and she's helping.
Oh,
So it's teamwork. So some
That's
guys
good.
have to, some
yeah,
guys
I
unfortunately
feel
don't
you.
have that support, but they have to sneak away for the weekend. I'm not trying. I'm taking her. I'm sneaking her with me, so we're trying to go. We're going. So
I'm the same way, brother. I want
yeah,
mine with me. She's a fisherman too, and
yep.
I'd rather fish
Yeah,
with her than anybody else, man.
yeah. And
So
she knows that my barks aren't. I'm not biting. I'm just barking on the boat. So I'm sorry for what I said at the boat ramp. That whole meme type thing is me
Yeah,
and
yeah.
her, and so I didn't mean that. I love you.
I'm
so
not
quick.
apologizing when I'm behind the wheel during a kingfish tournament. I'm never going to apologize.
No, he won't.
So
His
I
wife
got
told
yeah,
him
two
he
no.
should
questions.
once.
Oops, sorry guys. Go ahead. I got two
Go
questions.
ahead,
One
babe.
is
Go
comes
ahead.
from online. It says, "Tell us how to take the ultimate selfie." What does that actually mean? Any?
Oh,
No.
you talking about the slime pose? The
Oh
slime?
yeah, that's it.
No, if I
Yes.
had,
It's a great question,
just
Jack.
think, pretend this is the fish. You get that thing out here, man. You got, and you got that camera right here. I'll teach you guys how to do it. The selfie pose there, man. The slimy sleeve is what we call it.
So
Yeah, how
I
many
said,
times have you been slapped in the face while you've been holding the
oh,
camera?
it's happened. It's happened a couple times, and I would fish sometimes before work, and I'm going to work. I'm like, oh man, I think my sleeve is stinking, man. Or when I leave work, I leave work, and she knows. She goes, I know you've been fishing. I'm like, yeah, I'm just a little bit. You got to unwind after work,
Oh
right?
my
So you
God.
That's
got
good stuff,
well,
man.
so another one is
to.
Amy Lockhart posted, "Go Samantha." So I'm
Oh
guessing
yeah,
But
Yeah.
you get to
You
fish down
know,
at the base much?
yeah. Fishing on the shore is really good. It's on the rock. There's rocks there.
Yeah.
There's snook there. And you can go catch snook, and with the right tide and the right winds and things. The redfish will be there. You can catch them. The trout, you have to find the grass out from the rocks, and you have to kind of cast kind of far because it's kind of real shallow. But if you can get to the grass, you can catch the trout there too.
Nice.
I've seen some bull sharks out there, little ones. They're little guys, but their mouths are still that big.
Right.
They're gonna bite you. I'm not messing with them.
Must
But
be a lunchtime activity. You go out there at lunch or something?
no, usually after work because there's traffic. Like 5 o'clock traffic. I don't want to fight it. 6 o'clock. So I'll
Right.
fish until sunset or so, and then I'll come home. But
Yeah.
lately, like a lot of you guys, we've been working on the house, so my fishing has diminished a lot this past couple months. But we're back in our home, and we're have you seen we've been fishing more lately, so we're almost back to normal. So
Good
I'm
deal.
thankful for that.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome stuff, man. Any other
Thank you.
questions for this young man, gentlemen?
We got just a quick shout out, Kelly Anderson. Thanks for joining, Justin Denham. Good to see
Hey,
you, Tom
Kelly.
McCoy. And just a little bit of housekeeping. We actually had a donation during the show today, guys. Somebody saw your Boys in Blue trip, Gino, for the first responders and
Okay.
police trip. And he's also a fellow officer, and he threw us out a nice chunky donation for us. So
That's what it's
not
all
sure he
about
wants me
right
to
there. That'll
publicize
help,
all that. So
help put
Awesome.
more veterans on the water. That's what we need. Thank you. Thank you so much.
exactly.
Yeah. We got a couple more questions. Shout out to Kelly Anderson. He said, "Good evening." Another question came in. How do you transition from inshore to offshore? And
Oh yeah.
but what is better in your opinion?
Mm, it's hard to say better. It's just when you go offshore, you have to dedicate a whole day, and maybe 2 days, because you got to prep your boat and that sort of thing. And when you get back from being offshore, you have to clean everything and clean all the fish and all that kind of good stuff. So it takes a lot. It's a lot more work to get ready to go offshore. Inshore is, you can pop right here in the bay. I live a mile away from Gandy boat ramp, so we'll go there for sunset trips. We go there for if we want to go catch trout, snook, redfish, and that sort of thing. But offshore, kind of once you get the tug from deep, and it's like 130 feet, and you're pulling up, a big giant grouper and that sort of thing. It's like, man, that your blood just starts boiling. And it's like, oh, I'm gonna catch another one and another one and another one and another one. I want to do it. And
Unless it's an
lately,
amberjack, there's only one per day on amberjack.
one, that's all I want to do. But I have some friends with some big boats, and they're trying to pull my wallet apart here because they're going deep, and they're catching snowies and kitty mitchells and yellow eye or yellow edge or so all these other fish. They're all bucket list fish now, and I want to catch a wahoo this year. I want to try that out.
Yeah.
But that blue water out there is amazing, and you never know what you're going to see. We see sea turtles, you see pods of dolphins, that sort of thing. Sharks. I've seen a tiger shark out there. A buddy not ran into, but came up on a whale shark, and I think it was a pair, and he was there with his son, and talking about you, Michael Ortega. He was there with his son, and he jumped in with the snorkel just to swim with that thing. And he told his son, he said, one thing I want to tell you, the kid, he didn't want to jump in there. Anthony didn't want to jump in there. He goes, you either jump in now and swim with this fish, and this is the one opportunity you have, or you're going to spend the next 65 years of your life wishing to try and do that again. So he jumped in the water, and he's got a story to tell, right? He swam with a whale shark, and he got some good video and good footage of that. So
Yeah.
so
I've
you just
done that
you never know what's out there.
one time. In 20 years of fishing here, 20 years of going offshore, I've seen it one time, and we had snorkel gear on. It's fun.
That's awesome. Yeah. And he said there was a couple cobia hanging off them too, so I think they were able to get
Did
one.
you catch them?
I think he caught them. Yeah, he caught them that day. But it was good stuff. So I mean, you learn a lot of stuff out there too, and you learn from friends. You learn from different people. And his kid will never forget that. And
Yeah.
he'll have that.
Oh.
He'll always have that in his pocket as a story, right? That's always his story.
You
So
bet.
just a general question, what's
Mhm.
because I do have a little envy of your pictures when you come from offshore because you always seem to have a frickin' boatload. All right. What's your go-to rig, man? Like with the hogs and the snapper.
20-pound braid, 20-pound leader, about 15 to 20 feet of leader, with usually a small jig head. The lightest jig head you can drop that will still go drop straight. It's
So it's your fault we all do that now.
Oh, I don't know, maybe.
You
I did it with.
sh-
I went with
that's-
Gene. Remember Gene? We went there one day. We caught all the mangoes. I was catching all the mangoes, and I showed you.
Yep.
I think it was an 1/8-ounce jig head, and
Yep.
I was catching
1/8
big
ounce.
mangoes. Yeah, 1/8 ounce. I was dropping
Yeah.
that thing, and he was looking at me like, "What? How are you catching these things?"
I know. He brought that back to us, Danny, and now
Awesome.
it's all we do for bottom rigs, and it just it's talk about patience, man. Waiting for that thing to
Mhm.
drop 60,
Hey,
80 feet is
I'm keep-
painful, but
I'm
I didn't know it
keeping
was
the
your
lights
fault.
on at Snappa Slappa jigs. Like I'm
Oh yeah.
keeping the lights on.
I have a lot of their stuff, man. I have a lot of stuff on them. The gold metal flake one is my favorite. They have one there. It's really, that's my favorite. So
Yeah,
I think
we
I've caught
went
more fish on
Sunday.
that.
We went Sunday with 3/4 ounce, 1/2 ounce jig heads, and it caught 6 or 7 nice keeper hogfish.
Mm,
Like 4 or 5 hour trip. It was pretty good. So.
nice. Yeah. Last Sunday when we went, we were using. It was a current. It was a long incoming. The tide was coming in real long, but it was pretty strong, and we were dropping ounce and a quarter, and that's we we pulled up. We saw a rock down there, and it was life, but it was all stuck to the bottom because the current was pushing when it came up. So you didn't have that fish show on the sonar. You didn't see like fish up in the column. They were all like hugging the bottom, and so we were dropping ounce and a half, and it was just on. The fish from that picture, that was probably half of what we actually caught. We were dropping some.
Sure.
It was insane. Yeah, it was a good day.
So I don't know. Last few times we've been out, we've had a hard time finding the mangroves, and I never see your boat without 10 mangroves on it when it comes back. Like,
Yeah,
what's your average? Is there an average depth? Or are you getting them at every?
no. I mean, I never really catch them in less than 50 unless I'm in the bay. If I'm in the bay, you can catch them like by the Skyway or the shipping channel. But when you're offshore, I catch them mostly in around between 50 and 60, and they're all about 14, 15-inch mangoes. But the bigger ones we catch a little bit further, like when you get to about 100 feet. They
Right.
start getting bigger, and then pretty much all the fish start getting bigger out there.
Yeah, we caught 3 mangoes Sunday, and 2 of them were like this big.
Yeah, it's
And
cool.
one was like a 12-incher, 12, 13-incher.
Yeah, I took my neighbor last week, and he mostly fished inshore. I don't recall if he really went offshore other than on a head boat. And then I got him tight this last weekend on a bunch of fish, and he was like, he was blown that we were just catching so much fish. He said that was awesome. So that was really cool. That
It's
was
a
almost
ball
like,
game out there.
yeah, man. It's I'm not gonna say it wasn't a charter. Right? We were fishing together with my neighbor, but he was like that same kind of eye, that the eyes you see on people when they get excited for it. And yeah, I told him he's got a little skiff right now. So let me know when he's going to go buy his offshore boat because I'm going to help him pick it out. So he's like,
Good stuff, man.
you know,
So, another question came in, and kind of
Mhm.
shifting gears a little bit, like talking about boating in general. So, what's the hairiest you guys have been in?
you mean just the seas and all that kind of good stuff?
I would imagine that's
Uh,
what they're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, I have a 22-foot boat, so it's not a big boat, anyways. I've been in like 3s with the occasional 4, and that was pretty scary enough. And I think most people who have big boats, they don't even want to go out when it's like 2s and 3s. They don't prefer it. If
Oh,
you can avoid it, they don't want to go out in that. So it's been pretty hairy. I went out with Gene one time when we went out deep. Remember that one trip on the Everglades? I think we went to Miller Grounds, and we came back, and there was a lightning storm off on
yeah.
the right hand. that on
Yeah.
the south of us. That was pretty hairy. Yeah, we got
Pretty scary stuff.
we got wet too, man. We were so wet. Oh man, it was
Yeah.
good time.
Something about Captain Gene.
Yeah, that's the chaos part I like, right? I don't want serenity. I don't want calmness. I like the chaos part.
I'm gonna. I can cure you of that, dude. I can
Oh
cure you.
yeah. The calm's nice. It's good, but I like when things are just a little bit of chaos with it. It's good.
So
Good.
I've had two of my hairiest adventures with Captain Gene for sure. Like,
Yeah.
one, we were baiting up for a kingfish tournament, and it was super big swells, and I'm up in the front because everybody's trying to get bait, right? We're out trying to bait up, and it had to be probably force, rolling force. It was slow, right? But I was on the front of the boat. I don't know what happened, but I went to shift, and the boat just left. Like my feet were in the air, and the boat was descending. I had to drop to my knees to hit like a stone. And the other one is the only time I ever heard Gene Hammond say, "Hey, do you still pray?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "What?" He's like, "I don't see a way around this one, so we're gonna go through. So if you do that praying thing, if you wouldn't mind doing that prayer thing, that would be great." Like, oh God.
Every little bit helps.
Sometimes you just gotta punch through it, man.
Yeah.
That's why they call it the other side. I'll see you on the other
And it
side.
split.
Yeah.
It
That's
split
awesome.
for us on the way in. It was amazing.
Yeah, I did one trip on I had a Ginu for a while, and no, it was on his Ginu. It was real narrow, and it was in our mind to swap places. I was running the motor, and then he was going to swap with the motor. And if you've been on a Ginu, it's like a canoe basically, and we're trying to go around each other on this little narrow boat, and all of a sudden the boat just went boop, it capsized, and all our gear and everything went in the water. We were just like, oh my God. The water was cold. It was at Riviera Bay, and it was Gasparilla, and people were heading out of Riviera Bay.
Wow.
Luckily, it was only 4 foot there, and we could reach the bottom. It was kind of muddy there, but we were able to flip the boat back over. We were able to find half of our stuff, and you should have seen me trying to pull myself over on that little bitty boat. That was pretty. That was probably a sight to see. But we got up, and that was. I mean, have all your safety gear. If anybody ever watches this, have all your safety gear, because you never know what's going to happen. So, but I don't know.
Wow, dude. I've not flipped over a Ginu yet.
Yeah, it was pretty scary. Yeah.
You did have us in a lightning storm in a kayak once, but
oh yeah, when the rods were buzzing. Time to go.
I'm trying to think of more scary times, but most of them have just been rough days out there. I think I've had more scary incidents in the bay, because the bay turns really nasty really quick. There was this afternoon storm in the summer when you're hitting, there's like 3s and 4s in the bay, and you're just trying to get back to any dock you can find. And the American Legion in South Tampa is one of my hideaways, where if I'm in the middle of the bay somewhere, if I can get to the Legion, I'll pull in there because they have a dock and stuff, and you can go in and dry off. And I've done that probably at least a handful of times. It's been pretty scary sometimes, but and the pontoon is like a floating building, so when the wind blows it, just trying to dock that thing is kind of it can be kind of a challenge also.
Well, we got to go fishing real soon, man. I know you're taking a trip for work, but when you get back, give me a call. Let's go fishing.
Let's do it. And yeah, if you guys got veterans that need brides, man, I'll try and make time to take you guys out, because that's what I like. That's what I like doing, is taking people.
We appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Right. No, thank you guys.
Well,
we're going to try to give you your Sunday night back here, I guess, guys. What do you think?
Yeah,
you want to keep hammering.
Good stuff.
Right on.
Good stuff.
Let's go fishing, guys. Let's go fishing whenever y'all ready.
Oh, for sure, my friend. We haven't fished, with the except for that one kingfish tournament. We haven't been able to fish together much, man. So
yeah, we're getting yelled at by
you.
Gene. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, that's always fun. Oh yeah, and the cruise was a lot of fun.
Yeah, the cruise was a good time.
Yeah, We'll have to have a whole show about what happened to Gene
No,
on the
we're not
cruise
talking about that cruise.
for his birthday.
Ask him about his shorts.
But yeah. Hey, listen, folks, if you enjoyed this show, please, again, give us a like, throw some comments in there, share this out with everybody. Look, I know I always push the social media, but let's be honest, this is the way of the world now, right? You guys help us out and get us the eyeballs over here, and it helps the cause. And the more veterans, the more first responders we get on the water, the more awesome people like Danny we can bring for you to talk to and get to know. We'll be getting out a schedule here of what's coming up next week soon. Until then, man, just be safe, check on each other, and make sure you're taking good care of each other, folks.
Yeah, buddy.
Right
Great
on.
show, boys. Danny, thank you very much for joining us and talking to us. It's
Yeah, it was
always
a
a
good time.
pleasure, my friend.
It was a good time, man. Thank you.
Great job.